Welcome to The Critical Path, Greater Vancouver Realtors' professionalism and innovation-focused podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Lalime. Each episode, we sit down with industry leaders to discuss the critical issues affecting our profession and the paths we must take to overcome them. Today, we're talking about the MLS. Not just a tool, but the lifeline of the real estate world. It's essential, it's powerful, and it shapes how realtors work and how clients experience real estate. But as the market shifts, so must the MLS. Innovation is key, especially with consumers demanding more, competition rising, and expectations changing by the day. That's why we're thrilled to welcome Lucie Fortier and Leslie Cobb from ICE, the team behind Paragon, our cutting-edge MLS solution. We'll explore what's next on their roadmap, what they're planning in the near and distant future, and get a look into ICE's vision for the industry. So let's get into it. Lucie, Leslie, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
So maybe we can just start with a little bit of an introduction for both of you. We'll start with Lucie, and then we'll move to Leslie. Just introduce us, give us your roles at ICE and what you do in terms of our Paragon solution.
Sure, I'll start. So my name is Lucie Fortier. I am the Executive Vice President of the MLS Solutions Group for ICE, or Intercontinental Exchange. I have been working in MLS technology since 2009. So it's a lifelong passion. I'm very well acquainted with the role of the agent, the MLS in the transaction, committed to continuing to foster that role and the importance of that role moving forward for consumers and agents alike, and really happy to be here.
Excellent. I am Leslie Cobb. I serve as the product owner for all of our consumer and agent-facing applications. So my time with ICE started about 10 years ago, and I served as a project manager. One of my very first jobs at ICE was to serve as the project manager for the conversion of the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver when they transitioned over to Paragon. So I've been working with this group and users in this area for a long time. I did have about 10 years of experience with MLS software vendors before joining ICE about 10 years ago, so lots of product experience and luckily lots of experience with users in the Vancouver area.
So long ago that we were still the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. We've since rebranded and now we're GVR, so that should speak to the longevity for how long both of you have been working with us. So that's great that you have that kind of depth of experience with us to speak to our members today. So let's just get right into it. It's an exciting time for some of the products and services that are happening here. We just recently saw the release of Paragon Connect and the Companion Collaboration Center app that our members have been asking for a long time. Easy CMA is coming soon, as well as Local Logic. All of these are kind of key kind of posts on the Paragon roadmap. And I'll start with kind of a bigger picture question before we kind of get into some of the specifics. But, what's kind of the connecting fiber between all of these new services and products? Where does this kind of lead Paragon towards in the future?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. So really the connecting fiber behind all of the new developments that our agents are enjoying is a multi-million-dollar investment in the future of MLS. So MLS is, with the advent of the internet, when we all went onto the internet, when we graduated from books to a digital experience, MLSs were built and created, and we've kind of been evolving and iterating on those platforms for a very long time. Now, ICE has made a really significant investment in the MLS. It's time for us all to move forward and modernize what we have historically known to be the MLS. And that means both in terms of the tech stack, the features and functionality that we're seeing as part of the MLS, but also the data assets that are part of it. Like you mentioned in your intro, Jesse, there's a growing expectation, growing demand for information. Consumers have a much higher level of expectation about what they're going to get from their agents. And in concert with that, agents have a much higher expectation of what they're going to have available to them in the MLS. And so Paragon is working really hard hard with partners like GVR to make sure that we are empowering agents and consumers with access to both data and functionality, so that the real estate transaction can be facilitated overall.
And that transaction part kind of leads into a little bit of a follow-up here for Leslie. How are these products kind of helping to shape the day-to-day experience for the users of these products?
Oh, yeah. I think the daily experience for users is really going to change dramatically. We're focusing on streamlining some of those standard agent functions to make them really simple and efficient. So if you are out and about and not tethered to your desk, that you can perform those actions. Now, we do want to keep them flexible so that when you need more robust functionality, that those options are available to you. But either way, we want to make sure that you have really a seamless user experience. So no matter how you choose to access our MLS system, whether you're on a phone when you're out in the field or if you're at your desk, you have that single workflow that you learn to use once, and the process is always the same.
And so you mentioned being kind of mobile. That was really kind of the crux for Paragon Connect. That's kind of a big one that our members have been asking for a long time. Maybe we can get a little bit more into that one, Leslie. So what were some of the key considerations in developing Paragon Connect? What did it have to accomplish? What did it need to do? And how did you go about ensuring that it did?
Yeah. So we had two fundamental principles in mind when we started building Paragon Connect. And one was what I just mentioned, was that you want that single experience so that I can access the website no matter where I am and have a great unified experience with it. The second one, which is that we wanted to make sure that it used that Paragon database, so the data set that is powering the Paragon system, and using that same database is really going to allow users to use the current system that they really know while the new system evolves and they learn to use that new system. So, beyond having those two fundamentals, we wanted to make sure that it was fast and really intuitive and really a modern take on an MLS solution. So how we achieved that, we really looked to the tech space to find solutions that would help us. And we looked to two products, React and Material Design. React is a library developed by an employee at Facebook, and it's used by some of the most recognizable company names like Amazon and Netflix and Disney. It allows us to build a library of design elements that we can use and reuse to create a really uniform user experience. So we want that consistent experience no matter what kind of device you use. But beyond that, we want to make sure that it's really functional, and that's where material design comes into play. Material design was developed by Google, and it really is used as a playbook for creating like spacing for buttons and menus and making sure that the website that you build scales and looks great no matter what size screen you're using. So it allows you to take a single web page and it look really good and function like on a really small screen like a mobile phone, or take that same page and blow it up really big like a TV-sized monitor and make sure that it's really usable and flexible for people.
I think I'm going to add on to what Leslie just said too, and I'm hoping that you see the pattern there, which is evolution with familiarity. So change is hard for all digital users. We don't like it when things change and when buttons move. So we are able to modernize the MLS by introducing buttons and layouts and designs that are familiar in the digital world today. They've kind of become cohesive. So you get that digital experience that you're accustomed to as a consumer, as a user of digital experiences, while we progress the MLS, while we make it better, and while we bring it into the 21st century.
That functionality is such a critical piece because it's what people are experiencing in the moment while they're using the product, right? So maybe give us a couple of advantages of what some people could do, really quickly in a mobile platform, on the go. What's kind of one of the key kind of advantages that you can think of that you could point to for our members?
Well, so with the mobile experience, there are some functions that you get to take advantage of if you are using your mobile phone versus using like a desktop. So some of them, we're able to say that you want to text a client. You actually have the ability to connect directly with your phone's mobile messaging app. If you need directions to a property, you can actually click on the address and it's going to open up your default mapping app. Maybe you want to set up a reminder for an upcoming open house. It's going to sync with your default calendar app. Or one of the things I think is super cool is if you're adding a listing and you want to snap some photos of the property while you're on site, you can open up your camera and take pictures of that property and upload them directly from your phone. So there's some really cool things that you can do when you're utilizing that mobile phone. Now, if you choose to download the app from the App Store for the Paragon Connect app for agents, there's a couple of additional features that you can use. One of them is the ability to import contacts from your device. So if you're adding up or setting up a new client in Paragon Connect, you can choose to import contacts directly from the Contacts app on your phone. So it'll pull in the photo or the phone numbers, the email addresses you have for those contacts with just the push of a button. We're also introducing push notifications. So instead of waiting for an email to come, if you are using your mobile phone and you sign up to allow push notifications, you can get that instant in-app notification of key communications. So there's some really cool things that mobile users will be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, speed, simplification, convenience. Lucie, my next question is going to be for you and pulls back a little bit more to that kind of strategic focus. I imagine those are probably a couple of the big priorities for why mobile is such a big deal for the roadmap and for what's kind of all coming and how it all links together. How does mobile kind of really fit into the long-term vision for ICE?
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. Bottom line is any technology that we bring into the space has to meet users where they are. And where are they? Whether they're agents or consumers, today they're on their phones. We spend an inordinate amount of time, some of us, on these little devices that we carry around in our pockets. I saw something on Instagram, a meme the other day, and the phone has become our Sony Walkman and our CD player and our video camera and our camera in it. So we have a ton of functionality today in our pockets that we did not have 20 years ago. So it is absolutely critical for us as a technology provider, as a solutions provider, to really be mindful of that reality. And I think that agents have been very tolerant, in the last few years, having multiple different solutions. Some that were mobile friendly, some that weren't, some that had a disconnected experience across multiple platforms. Really, for us, it's about unifying that entire experience for agents and, importantly, for consumers. We can't forget about the importance of the consumer experience in all of this. Really making that as simple and as enjoyable, as efficient as we possibly can.
I was just going to say the client experience is at the heart of the other kind of side of Paragon Connect, which is Collaboration Center, which is another thing that's just kind of come out. So you were getting a little bit into that client expectation part of it, but how do you manage to meet or even exceed expectations for consumers and not just consumers, but modern users, right, who are so used to a kind of a simple, intuitive experience from other companies. You mentioned Disney before, right, and Apple and some of these other companies. So how does ICE kind of stay up to that level?
Well, we recently completely redesigned our Collaboration Center site, taking the principles that we learned from Paragon Connect, that single user experience, and a really mobile responsive. So when users come to the new Collaboration Center site, it will look beautiful and function very efficiently no matter what kind of device that they are on. And like Lucie mentioned, as consumers, we are really connected to our phones in a way, not only because we like the convenience of it, but I think we really love that power of facilitating our own research, right? Being able to go and dig into whether it's, the next car you want to buy or, like what's the best brand of toothpaste? I mean, you can research anything. So with the new collaboration center not only being available to look great and work on any device, it really promotes that search functionality. So as a client who's using our collaboration center, not only can you see all the listings that your agent provided and set up for you, but you do have the option to start your own search and be able to look for your own properties and guide that experience yourself. And there are lots of other consumer portals, but one of the things that's great about ours is it is real-time listing data. It is immediate from your MLS system, so there's no delay in any of the listings. And because you've set this collaboration center up directly through your agent, you are working directly with your agent. There's that direct communication. So all the activities that you as a client are taking and comments that you're making, that information is fed directly back to your agent. So you don't have to go to another website or to your phone or someplace else to facilitate that communication back and forth, but it really keeps that agent and the consumer sort of in step through that home buying or selling experience.
And I think that's critical part of it, right? Is that kind of real-time flow, because that is probably the biggest expectation that most people have from modern kind of portals and technologies like this. Leslie, again, to kind of pull it back a little bit, Lucie, to pull it back a little bit in terms of kind of the overview of the product development side. How do you strike that balance? I know a lot of it is research, but the balance between that really kind of powerful functionality that clients expect with the kind of the simplicity side of it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. We have essentially taken a desktop version of a tool, and we're trying to cram it into this really tiny form factor, which is the phone. But at the end of the day, the bottom line on that is exceptional design. Every button, every piece of text, every label is thoughtfully considered. Where we have functionality is thoughtfully considered. The material design that Leslie was talking about and React, those libraries that exist for exactly this purpose have been really powerful in guiding those decisions for us and creating a user journey through a mobile experience that is intuitive and, like I said, familiar. Nowadays apps have kind of standard features that are very familiar to people, like the hamburger menu means, hey, this is where you're going to find all of your information. And so we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're taking a well-proven, well-worn wheel and applying it to the MLS space in a way that I think is really powerful for both agents and consumers.
Another kind of piece that our members and their clients are both kind of touching is the CMA, and Easy CMA is one of the next kind of big things we're going to be rolling out. Leslie, can you tell us a little bit about Easy CMA and how it's going to change things for members and for clients?
Yeah. So the goal of Easy CMA was to create a really high quality comparative market analysis with like the push of a button. So one of the most time consuming and probably painful things for agents when creating CMA is finding the listings to serve as comparables, and to be able to identify that, price range that you want to set for the subject property. So that's where Easy CMA really comes into play. When we first completed it, we internally would call it the 30-second CMA because it literally could take less than 30 seconds from the time you start to the time you end. So you start by entering an address and we find the location for that property, and then Easy CMA algorithm comes in and finds, comparables that are related to that subject property and close by, and returns those listings along with the recommended subject price with literally a click of a button. And then you have a beautiful CMA that can be printed or sent via text or emailed. Now, there are some options. If you as an agent want to manually pick your comparables, you absolutely can do that. So you can go through and pick hand curate the listings that you want to serve as comparables. You also have the option to modify or change any that the automated system selects for you. And of course, it supports adjustments. So if you need to come in and make any adjustments to those comparables, all of that can be accomplished on top of just the literally basically pushing a button and getting a CMA that you can use while you're walking out the door.
It's a lot of kind of automation, right? It's a lot of things just kind of happening. And again, that goes to the convenience side and the speed side of things, which is great. Lucie, is this a kind of a precursor to more of that kind of thing? Maybe even kind of, some AI kind of functionality?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, the foremost consideration for us is how do we continue to make the agent the expert in the room, right? How do we put tools in the hands of our agents that allow them to really serve the client in a way that the client wouldn't be able to do on their own? And so AI is absolutely, when we look at data in particular, CMA is all about working with data. And when we look at data in particular, AI is changing the landscape completely. Historically, data has been very literal and very unidimensional. But AI and large language models are really completely changing that. And we're just starting to explore the ways in which we can leverage that, not only to do things like photo tag, hey, this is a kitchen, this is a living room, but also to generate insights from those photos, like, hey, this has stainless steel appliances and other things that are generally part of the data set, but have not historically been leveraged. And I think fundamentally, ICE is a data company. And so, that's one of the areas that data is really lending itself to great innovation and a lot of future possibilities. Again, we're just starting to scratch the surface on what those are. We have a think tank at ICE that is completely dedicated to AI and looking at different use cases and how AI can be applied in different models like the MLS to really empower the agents and the consumers to have a better experience. But on the flip side of that also is like the standard data sets is also something that we're continuing to expand on and innovate. The comprehensive view of the property is something that it has evolved over the years. It used to be just listings and assessment data was enough. And, now we have certainly schools and walk scores and transit scores. But now we're continuing to see things like green scores, so eco scores on properties, and climate change, and how is that affecting the ability for a homeowner or potential homeowner to get homeowners insurance, or to really complete the transaction because things are changing, the climate is changing. And then lastly, on the data side is how can we connect, and I think this is where you're going to see a lot of change and innovation going forward, is how do we connect the data and things that are happening as part of the transaction, so historically in the MLS space, to what is happening in the mortgage, insurance, appraisal, inspection spaces. Historically, all of those data sets have been siloed, and that has created a really inefficient consumer experience because they have to re-enter data and interface with multiple people on multiple platforms. And so how do we pull that all together to create a much more simple, unified digital experience? And I will just share, because I think most people don't know ICE, don't know Intercontinental Exchange, but this company owns the New York Stock Exchange, and one of its, claims to fame is that it was fundamental in digitizing the stock floor. So going from paper trades and call outs on the trading floor to a digital experience. And I think that truly is the heart and soul of what ICE is looking to accomplish in the MLS space. How do we take all of these pieces and all of this inefficiency and create a really wonderful, connected, seamless experience for everybody, for all of the stakeholders that are involved?
Yeah, that's a great answer. Lots of exciting kind of possibilities that all of these maybe kind of old school kind of challenges represent for growth and moving forward for some of these things. So let's look a little bit further down the roadmap then. Because we talked about some of the things that our members are have seen either just recently or are seeing, for the first time. But there's a couple other things, down the road, local logic. I believe there's something called restb.ai, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look a little further down the road and talk about some of these other exciting things that are coming up.
Oh, yeah. This is the fun part. We have so many ideas of things that we want to work on. And I will say that, getting feedback from our users is super important to us and helps us guide decisions on some of these things that we want to take action on. So one of the features that we've got coming up is for reverse prospecting. So that's a long-standing function that's been part of MLS's, but we've taken a really fresh and modern approach for it. So the changes for reverse prospecting are actually in testing right now. So they'll be coming to you guys really, really, really soon. I can't wait for you to see it. As Lucie talked about AI, it is the ultimate buzzword right now in technology. And we have been working with Recipe AI. We've done a few integrations with them already, and we have 2 more coming up on the horizon. So one of them is the automatic generation of public remarks. So imagine you are adding a listing, you enter some listing data, you upload a few photos, and then we use the power of AI to analyze all that information and the photos to instantly and with a single button push create really nice, detailed public remarks that can go for your listing. Another change that is coming with Recipe AI is the concept of photo match. So we're going to totally transform the way that you can search for properties by picking a photo. So let's say you're looking at a listing, you can say, I really love this photo. Find other listings that look similar to this one. Or even better, let's say that you are on the web or you're on Pinterest and you find this kitchen that you just love. It's your dream kitchen. You can upload a photo and then have the system find listings that look similar to that property. So super exciting to see those changes that are coming on the horizon.
There's so much happening. It's a wonder how fast all of this stuff is coming. The speed of advancement, Lucie, are we advancing fast enough? Can we advance too fast? Like, how does this whole process work with kind of having so many things flowing at once?
Yeah, it definitely is an art in terms of the speed at which not only we develop, but we release items to the public. And so, we did invest as part of the multi-million-dollar investment in the MLS platform itself. We also invested in changing our processes behind the scenes so that we could be more agile, so that we could move faster and respond more quickly to changes in the industry. We're surrounded by change these days. So it is really, paramount for us to be able to move in synchronicity with the changes that are being thrown at us. We're not in control of everything. We're in control of some things. But as things change and evolve, our team is very, very agile, can turn to address a need as required. How we release that to our users, we do a significant amount of testing in the back end so we can hold on to features. We try to not overwhelm agents with new things. We know that it's very daunting to log into your system on, one morning and see that things are new or changed or different. And we recognize and fully appreciate that agents are trying to get out there and just do business and make money. And, this is their living. And so we don't want to interfere with their livelihood. We're really just trying to support it and enhance it and make it more efficient in a measured but also responsive kind of way.
I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to cover here today. Is there any other kind of messaging you wanted to leave our members with, either of you, Leslie or Lucie?
I will say one thing. I am Canadian, a proud Canadian. I spent the last 25 years living in the Kootenay area. Actually, I was up in Nelson, BC. Have recently migrated south of the border, but we are always on the lookout for opportunities that are specific to the Canadian market, to the Vancouver market. Please, if you have any, pain points or ideas, things that you think are really lacking that are specific to Canada, we are always in communication with the great, wonderful staff at GVR, and really are looking to provide the absolute best industry product for our customers in the Vancouver market.
That was definitely something we were waiting for. We knew you had some Canadian roots there, Lucie. So thanks for pointing that out, because I think that is really important, right? That our members feel like their needs are being met, even when they're specific to that kind of thing. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you both for your time today. We really do appreciate you taking the time to be with us and to educate our members. Our listeners appreciate the insights and exciting details about all the innovative solutions coming to our MLS system from Paragon and ICE. And you can learn more about them on our news blog, membernews.gvrealtors.ca. We've long said it, but it bears repeating. The MLS is both our greatest achievement and our most precious business commodity. Along with our partners at ICE, GVR is working to ensure it evolves in a way that it continues to thrive while remaining the standard for accurate, reliable real estate data in Canada and around the world. I'm Jesse Lalime. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you down the next critical path.